Hi, friends. My name is Elliott Neff, National Master in Chess, founder of Chess for Life. And I frequently get questions like, well, what does it mean to be a master in the game? And how do I improve? How do I get better? I'm stuck. What do I do to get better? Well, guess what? I decided I would share a few things, including my playing some live games, just to show you a little bit of how I think and how I try to improve. Now, I am by no means grandmaster or world champion, even though I've defeated a few grandmasters and even tied a game against world champion Vishy Anand in a simul. Mind you, he was playing multiple people at the same time. So I've got a bit of the background. I have so much more to learn myself, and I'm excited to share a little bit of how I do this. So why don't we just jump right in? Do you want to see? I'm going to play a live game here. I'm going to be in the Lichess platform as I do it, and I'm going to try to talk through a little bit of what I think about as I'm playing this game. Now, I'm going to do a pretty fast one. We might try different time controls at different times. I recommend that you play slow time controls to think carefully and then review. I'm going to do a quicker one here, which means that as we get towards the end, it's all about the clock at that point, because you got to finish your moves within that time. Why don't we try a 3-0 blitz first? That means 3 minutes aside. That's it for both sides. You got to get all your moves done in that time. Let's see what happens here. Here we go. I'm playing. He took over the center, and I'm going to bring my knight out to control the center at the same time. I'm pushing my pawn here. And this is called now the Grunfeld defense. It's the name of a pattern in the opening where I give up some of the center. Why? Because I'm going to then try to attack it. See, I'm attacking the center from this side right now. Now, what are we going to do? Well, let's keep developing our pieces here. We keep pressuring this square. And I'm going to put my queen over on this side. It helps put pressure this direction. We're going to castle our king, get out of danger, hopefully. He might try to attack me, so I'm going to have to be careful on that side of the board. But let's see what we can do. Okay, let's pressure this bishop, see what it wants to do. Does it want to trade? No, no trade. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep putting the pressure on there. And how about we simply trade pawns now? And I'm going to go after this bishop. See, I just wanted to get rid of that bishop. And now I'm putting my pawn up here to stop this pawn from moving up. I'm going to go over, keep my rook protected, my bishop protected. I want to control this open file, though. I don't like that. Now, if I can survive long enough, because this center is pretty powerful, the light pawns, which I got pressure on, then I'm going to try to use these pawns on the other side of the board so that I can advance up the board and eventually try to make a new queen. Right? That's the goal, isn't it? So at this moment, though, I just need to keep putting pressure on, keep advancing. You know what? A few trades would probably be just fine. Let's see. How about we challenge the open file? I don't want to leave everything for him. And then maybe I should back up my bishop. I could do that. Or how about we just keep moving forward? Look at this. We've got 2 pawns versus 1. That's called a pawn majority. I think that's where my advantage is over here on the queen side. I'm going to try to get a new queen. And now this move has opened up the long diagonal. Interesting indeed. How about we just trade? So he's got a passed pawn down the middle, but I have one up the side, and I kind of like mine up the side. It gives me a lot of attacking potential is how it feels. So here we go. Let's keep pushing. I want to get my pawn up to the far side of the board as soon as possible. If I can accomplish that, then I feel great about this position. What are the tactics here, though? He took, okay, we're going to take this way. This way we can keep advancing. Okay, he's trying to block that down a little bit. You know what? We're just going to take that out, trade it off. His queen's in the middle, but I feel really good about my pawn being so far up the board. Got to be careful about my king. So what shall we do? You know what? Let's just keep the advance going. That pawn, the further it gets up the board, the more powerful it becomes, the more dangerous it becomes for the opponent. So let's trade off a pair of rooks. By trading now, it keeps this rook behind my pawn, so it can hopefully just keep running up the board. Let's see how far we can get here. Let's see. Advance again. I'm threatening to promote. And if I do, I feel really, really, really good about my position. Pieces are a little bit, not a ton left, so that can be a little bit challenging. And let's see here. What if I just pick off this pawn in the middle? I like taking extra material. Feels good. Plus, I've still got my advanced pawn. His pawn is eliminated. I feel good about my position right now. You know, The extra pawn feels awesome. So close to the far side. If I can just support it, maybe I can put my bishop here. I've got to look out for some danger though with this knight and my king. Just have to be careful this knight doesn't make it into, let's say, the square h6. Then my king would be in danger and have to run. So thankfully my bishop covers that diagonal. Got to make sure the knight gets no routes in. Maybe if I can place my bishop here, that would support this pawn. And then I could swing my rook over and up to the last rank maybe at some point. That would be great too. Okay, so he's going to try to avoid all that. But what if I just trade off a little bit here? What if I just trade a pair of rooks? I think that could work. Here we go. See, we skewer. And now we'll simply trade because we can back it up with our battery supporting the pawn. Now we just need to try to get inside. If I could get my queen somehow into that B1 square, I would feel great about that. How do I do that? How do I get my queen in there? His queen's defending things. Maybe if I play my queen over to the side, threaten to push like this, try to push it forward. Oh, and if I can trade queens, here we go. Trade queens with check. And now his knight's going to have to sacrifice for my pawn. Otherwise, I would have promoted. So now it's a matter of, I got an extra bishop. How do I convert that into a win? That's the big trick here. How do we convert this? Well, don't want to trade all my pawns. And another little tip here is, thankfully, the pawn I do have, the bishop I have, I mean, is the same color as the corner, which means I can easily win if we end up with just that one. Okay, so here we are. I've got the pawn. Can just advance this safely, go like this. I don't want to stalemate him though. I better go around the other way. Here we go. Now I get to advance it, make a queen, put it here, and checkmate. Well, there we are. So we got a checkmate against this person. And now, you know, that was fast. I was down to 14 seconds left versus his 15. Interesting game, very tight game. Some of the lessons learned from this, though. Let me go to the analysis board. You see, what I like to do is when I play a game, I like to figure out what happened. And here's the tip, though, is I don't like to start by looking at the chess engine. So you can just toggle that on and see what the chess engine says. And it tells me what my mistakes were versus my opponents and those kind of things. This is great tools, right? And it looks like my opponent made more mistakes according to the chess engine than me, but I don't like to start there. What I want to do is I want to go back to the beginning of the game and play back through and go, what do I notice about this that surprised me? And so in playing this game, you know, I explained my thinking in trying to, you know, build strategy on the queen side. I let him take over the center, and then I tried to advance on the other side of the board. And this is a key tip, right? My king is safe on this side. So do you want to open that side? Not usually. Instead, you want to attack on the other side of the board. And that's what I was doing here, pressuring his pieces, sending them back. And I could have kept pushing like this. But my concern was, if I do that, then I leave his center totally unchallenged. And I just wasn't sure about doing that. You know, if I did this move here and then he goes back further, I just don't like the strength of his center. And yeah, I could keep pushing. Maybe that's good. I don't know what the engine would say about it. But in the moment, in the blitz, I decided, you know what? Let me just go for the exchange. Let me trade these off. And then in moving my knight to the side, I'm going after his bishop. I like to get rid of the bishops as the position's opening up because my bishops get really strong that way. The other thing was, I was looking at this square. If I could place my knight there at some point, that would be great too. For example, if he backed up, probably not a good move. Then I can just jump in here. Now I've got pressure on his queen. Where is he going to put the queen? I'm attacking the other bishop. I would feel really good about this position. So he decided to get his king to safety. And this is where I made that instant choice just to trade my knight for his bishop. Why? Like I said before, I like the bishops as it opens up, gets rid of one of his attackers. And now I like, and you know what? The computer doesn't like some of my moves, but hey, we're moving fast, right? And my goal here was I need to get my bishop out somewhere. I don't like my queen going to be attacked by his rook. and I want to support my pawns advancing. And that's why I made the choice e6 first, so that if he pushes, well, one, I could take his rook, and two, I could trade the pawns. But I was thinking to slow down his pawns, then get my queen over, get my pieces out. And what happened? Well, he attacked me. I went over this way. It's my plan, right? I'm targeting his pawn in the middle, which he defends. And wow, I had the engine on more than I wanted to. And it actually says that was a blunder by him. Oh, look at this. It says that he should not, and I didn't even turn on the chess engine up here, but yet it's still showing the blunders through this. This is incredible. I didn't even think about him sacrificing this pawn in the middle. Wow. So he could have played like bishop h6, giving up this pawn. But then what would the follow-up be? Maybe rook to the 7th rank to put pressure on? Okay, I guess so, because he's got counterplay with the rook here, and he's just given up a pawn for it. Yeah, I could see that making sense, because then if I'm going to get my pieces out, what I really want to do is play my bishop out here. And see, this is a battery, right? If he makes a blunder of some kind, like moving the knight, right, then I can just checkmate him right here, right? So he doesn't want to do that with my bishop covering it. But wow, that is fascinating. I'll have to keep that in mind in future games where, I put a pressure on a pawn, but he could just ignore it to go for my king. So in the game, he moves up. I felt great about my position at this point. I've got each of my pieces developed. He brought his rook forward. That felt a little strange to me anyway. It was like, really? Your rook in front of your pieces here? I know you're trying to double your rooks, but when's he going to use his center pawns, right? His pawns are in the middle of the board. I felt that his strategy should have been just to try to advance up the middle. And to do that, I felt this rook needs to be placed somewhere else, you see? Because otherwise it's on this diagonal where my bishop can go after it. I know in some cases they will push the pawn to block that, but that doesn't feel good either. So I was thinking he could have done something like even just as simple as rook a2. You see how this rook could now swing over and double? He gets off this diagonal from my bishop, and it's kind of like a multi-purpose move. It's useful on this rank here. So that's kind of what I was expecting. So when he played rook c5 instead, I felt good about that. Then I attack it, and I'm happy to trade. And of course, time is really low. And here too, it's like I could trade rooks right away, but why not just start advancing? And you see that's ultimately what happened. Key strategy here, 2 pawns versus 1. That's called a pawn majority. And those can convert into a pawn that is called a pass pawn. Super powerful. And that's really kind of how the game happened here. Why? Because my opponent couldn't find enough counterplay to go after me. Anyway, hope you had fun with that one. I'm thinking about doing some more, maybe faster, maybe slower, different ones. Put some comments in. Happy to do whatever can help you the most. So here I am once again, National Master Elliott Neff. Like and subscribe for more chess tips, more fun. Appreciate it. Thank you for following along and have fun.